Hey there, it's me, Ryan Swag. This is a clip from my live stream where I talked about Kyogre and bulk points. This clip will mostly focus on bulk points, what they are, why they're useful, and how you can find them. So what's important about these bulk points is that, we've all had that situation in the raid where, you're charging up your solar beam, you're charging it up, you're almost there, you're about to launch it, maybe you've even pushed the button, but then the raid boss uses their charge move, KOs you, and it doesn't even register. If you have the bulk point met, then you're more likely to survive there. And then so Raikou has a bulk point here at level 32, and I think that might be for 4 hits. And then after that, you can see that between level 38.5, which is where it meets its offensive breakpoint and it does more damage, you can see that there isn't that big of a gap in TDO between them, like comparatively. And then here, 31.5 is the defensive breakpoint for Raikou, and that's just the defensive breakpoint. That means Waterfall does 1 less damage to it, but it isn't until one more power up later, level 32, that it crosses that bulk threshold to actually survive the hydro pump, right? So it's just kind of an interesting thing, bulk point. Like, we've all known about this concept before. We've all known about this idea. But yeah, so lately I've been looking to drop pins on it, let people know where all those specific points are. Because, if you're looking at level 31.5 versus level 32, that's like a pretty significant gain for one power up. And then there's not that many gains to be had between level 32 and level 38.5. And then similar with Executor. That's 35.5, and that's like the equivalent to a maxed out Executor. You might be thinking like, well, how do I find out these bulk points on my own? Like, I have a Pokemon with imperfect IVs. And let me tell you, man, I'm not a hundo hunter, so I've got tons of Pokemon with imperfect IVs. So you can do it the backdoor way, which is how I was initially doing it, which is you go to pokebattler.com. I'll take you through the process here. How to find your very own specific bulk points. It's actually really convoluted. So if you want to find them on your own through Pokebattler without using a spreadsheet or anything fancy like that, then you just go to the Raids tab here. And then you go to Kyogre Raid, because we're talking about Kyogre here today. Yeah, and then you'll see that it's got unknown moveset. Well, let's say you're curious specifically about Hydro Pump. So you click on Hydro Pump, and then your next step is to change this group tab here to single. When you do that, you can click on this triangle, right? Click on the triangle, and then it puts the raid boss Kyogre stats into the Battler for Pokebattler. Then after that, you click on this upper left-hand corner tab, you go to Battle, and then it'll have the raid boss set, so you can do individual things against the raid boss. Yeah, you can put in your specific defense IVs, your specific stamina IVs, your specific attack IVs. You can even put in your specific level. And then how you find the breakpoints, let's see, Waterfall Hydro Pump. What is the breakpoint for Raikou? Alright, 31.5. No, that's Blizzard. 32. So at this point, let's say I'm level 32 now. You click on Battle. And then you scroll down past all this stuff. You can mostly ignore it. And you click on the combat log. And then you see here that Waterfall is doing 13 damage. So you're going to want to write that number down. And you scroll down further and you see Hydro Pump does this much damage, 105. And if you're trying to tank 3 fast moves and 1 Hydro Pump from Kyogre, you're going to have more HP than 13 times 3 plus 105. So 13 times 3 plus 105. So that's 144. So you need 145 HP to survive that. And at level 32, you got that if you have perfect IVs. But backing it up, let's say you've got imperfect IVs. Let's say your defense IV is 13 and your stamina is like 11. Well, when you go back in here, you're going to see that Waterfall is now doing 14 damage to you, and Hydro Pump's doing 106. So you got to change this to 14. You got to change this to 106. and you see 148. So now you need 148 HP, and you only got 142. Don't sweat though. That's not like 6 power-ups, because as you power up, your defense increases, and so you might cross that defensive breakpoint, which will make it easier. So yeah, going back. So now you're like, oh geez, 32 isn't cutting it. Let's see how 34 does it. Let's say I power up to 34 now, because I got these lower defense and HP IVs. Go to combat log, and now you're like, oh hey, now it does 13, and now that does 105. So then you update this, and you're like, 13, 105, 144. Well, dang, 144. I'm at that. Oh, geez, I guess I gotta power up like one more time. So you go back, right? 34.5. Is that enough? Did I do it? Oh, still 144. One thing that you gotta check though, you never know. Yep, that's 104 now. So that means you only need 143 to survive. So if you got these lower defense IVs, that's the point that you'd be able to survive that. You'd cross that bulk point. So this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is if you use the Pokebox function. Now let's see. Go to my Pokebox. How do I get to you? Pokebox. So yeah, we got a Raikou, let's say. Raikou. And it is named Bad IV. That's its name. And it's a level 28 Raikou. And it's just got the ungood IVs going on for it. Its fast move is who cares. Alright, and we're going to call him Bad IV. We're going to save him. So yeah, you put the Pokemon into the Pokebox. Free to use. If you do the Patreon, then you got 500 slots. I don't use the Battle Box that much. I use the Patreon for other things. And I really like Solandro. And I use Pokebattler like 24/7. So may as well support the site. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and then you go to Raid Advice. Right? This might be a bit easier. Candy available, 10,000. Trainer 1. That's Solandro. I'm going to use my Pokebox. And it's against Kyogre. And I click Power Up Pokemon. It'll calculate the raid advice. And then I click on this carrot. And this carrot's going to give me... Oh, that's for Black Dynamite. My mistake. Not my example one. Black Dynamite's too strong, so the example doesn't work. Raikou. Yeah, this is the Bad IV one. No, it doesn't even have its name. It just says Raikou. And it changed the moveset on me again. Alright, Hydro Pump. So, all that aside, what's going on here is it's going to tell you how many power-ups you need. And it'll also like correlate what the CP is with it that you'll be seeing for this specific Raikou with the specific IVs that you put into your Pokebox. And then if you pay attention to the power here, whenever the power has a big increase, so like you see 9.1 to 10.3, then that usually corresponds with a bulk point. So you see that and you're like, okay, so I need 3 power-ups to hit a specific bulk point with this lower IV Raikou. And then if you scroll down further, then you're seeing like, oh, whoa, this 10.6 just jumped to this 12.1. That's 13 power-ups. So, and then after that, you really don't see any more bulk points going forward. So this is also an easy way to do it. So then you'll know that when you power up your Raikou, if you power it up to CP 2750, that's when you cross that bulk point. So that's an easy kind of way to do it. So you don't have to do the back and forth like I did. But if you do the Patreon, right? Oh, Patreon benefit. I actually didn't know about this because I never needed to use it. But he has a rated, Solandro, Pokebattler, has this raid advice spreadsheet that's only available to Patreon users. I don't know what tier you have to be, so I'll put a link to Pokebattler's Patreon in the YouTube video so you guys can check it out. Make the decision if you want to. You don't have to use this raid advice spreadsheet. It just spells it out a little bit nicer. But yeah, what I just went through right now was like a free way to do it. But if you got the spreadsheet, then it actually just shows you this here graphically, right? I actually just found out about the spreadsheet today because I wasn't using it, And I was talking to Solandro about what I was covering today, and I was like, yeah, you know if there's like an easier way for me to do this? And he's like, have you been using my spreadsheet? And I'm like, nah. And he's like, why not? And I'm like, well, I felt I didn't need a rate advice spreadsheet because I can already find this stuff out on my own. But for finding these specific bulk points, the spreadsheet is stupid easy. Like I'm actually kind of mad because I wasted so much time finding out all these bulk points when you could just enter it into the spreadsheet and it'll tell you like basically what level. So see this, that's 34.5. That's a bulk point. See this, it's level 39.5. That's a bulk point. You know, so I'm like, man. And then the dips in this graph correlate usually with offensive breakpoints. So yeah, so definitely something cool to look into. It's pretty easy to use. You just put in the Pokemon information here, pretty user friendly, but it is against a little bit of a paywall. So a paywall of literally $1. So I can see why people would not be into that. Letting you guys know how to find your own bulk points. So you can use Pokebattler for free in various ways. If you do the Patreon, then you can just do a spreadsheet that spits it out. And another option coming for you guys soon, TM, is when I first started digging into the bulk points more, I talked to GamePress. And GamePress is working on a calculator right now, specifically for bulk points. Good news, guys! GamePress made the bulk point calculator. It is super nice to use. Basically, you just put in your attacker. So I'm going to put in Raikou here. And then you put in whatever unique IVs you've got going on. You put in the raid boss. I'm going to put in Kyogre. Let's say we're trying to survive Hydro Pump here. Going to hit calculate. And it just spits out for you right away. Letting you know that at level 26.5, you'll be able to tank 1 waterfall and 1 Hydro Pump. And you're going to want to power up to 34 to tank 3 waterfalls and a Hydro Pump. Remember that the average is 4. Yeah, it's super nice. You just put in your IVs, you put in the moveset, hit calculate, and blammo. I'll also have this bulk point calculator linked in the description. Now, one thing that's kind of important to note though is that it won't show you more complicated bulk points. Now, when I say complicated bulk points, I mean like this is good for if you're having a hard time with one really strong charge move, but if you've got like a significant advantage, then what's the point where you survive 2 charge moves? Well, this won't exactly tell you. Using Pokebattler's rate advice feature or their rate advice spreadsheet, we'll be able to highlight where these more complicated combination kind of bulk points fall. So yeah, that was my clip on bulk points. One thing that this clip didn't cover was, I guess, more advanced uses of bulk points. There's more complicated, dynamic things to them going on. I'm going to be covering that in my live stream on the 18th at 7 p.m. Central Time. Twitch channel, SwagTips. I stream every Thursday at that time on that same channel. So drop on in if you want to get some good tips. And if you aren't able to stop in, I'll be posting the stream cuts sometime after on my YouTube channel here. So if you don't want to miss them, hit that subscribe button. I gotta say it, okay? Like it's one of the YouTube rules, okay? Like Jenna Marble still does it, okay? She still does it, and she's got like a jillion. Yeah. SwagTips. Good news, guys. Good. Shit.